What if the quietest kid in school had the loudest truth? What if a hallway no one cared about became the stage for a moment that shook an entire community? In a world where bullying often hides in silence, one girl dared to press record. This isn't just about high school drama. It's about power, resilience, and the courage to stand when no one else will. You're about to witness what happens when the hunted becomes the historian, when the quiet becomes the quake. This is the story of Zaria Thompson, and it starts in the one place no one was supposed to see. Zaria Thompson didn't ask for much, just a few minutes of peace, a break from the cafeteria noise, from the eyes that followed her, from the whispers that didn't bother hiding anymore. At 15, she'd already mastered the art of invisibility, not because she was shy, because blending in meant survival. Riverbend High buzzed with its usual chaos that Tuesday. Lunch trays clattered. Laughter echoed through linoleum halls. Phones lit up with the latest gossip, shared in passing glances and coded hashtags. Zaria moved through it all with steady steps and lowered eyes. She clutched a laminated hall pass between her fingers, its edges worn from use, a signal to teachers she had permission to leave. Not that they looked up anymore. "Bathroom," she mumbled to Ms. Carter, her English teacher. Carter nodded, never lifting her eyes from a stack of ungraded essays. That was fine. Zaria liked the quiet. It gave her room to think, room to breathe. The East Wing bathroom wasn't the closest one, but that was the point. It sat tucked behind the old music room, half forgotten, a place most students ignored, and teachers rarely ventured. The hallway that led to it always reminded her of a tunnel, long, dimly lit, slightly cooler than the rest of the school. Each step she took was a soft defiance, a moment reclaimed. 37. Tiles from the main hallway to the bathroom door. She'd counted them once, out of boredom. Now it was a ritual, a way to anchor herself. She rounded the last corner, expecting emptiness. Instead, she found a wall of presence. 3 figures leaned casually against the lockers, like they'd been waiting. Derek, Jamal, Luis. They weren't friends, weren't even classmates, really. Seniors, older, taller, smarter with their cruelty. Derek cracked his knuckles. Jamal adjusted his headphones but didn't press play. Luis just stared. His mouth didn't move, but his eyes said everything. Zaria's stomach didn't drop. It folded. Tight, compressed, she didn't stop walking, didn't look their way. The trick was to move like you didn't see them, like you belonged, like nothing about their presence changed. Anything. She pushed the bathroom door open, let it swing shut behind her. Inside, it smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and old tile, the buzz of a flickering light overhead. She didn't flinch, just moved to the last stall, closed the door, locked it, hung her backpack on the hook, and exhaled. Her heart wasn't pounding, not yet, but something stirred, like a premonition, or maybe just instinct. She reached into her hoodie pocket, pulled out her phone. No sound. Camera on front-facing. She propped it quietly on the dispenser. Hit record. Not because she knew what was about to happen, but because she'd learned. Sometimes proof was the only power you had. The door creaked. Footsteps. Laughter, low and close. Voices she knew too well. They thought she was alone. They thought she was cornered. They were wrong. Before that bathroom moment, before the video, before the whispers turned to apologies, Zaria Thompson was just a girl trying to get through each day without breaking. She lived on the south edge of Atlanta. Not the shiny skyline part, the older blocks, cracked sidewalks and corner stores with neon signs that flickered too long after midnight. She shared a 2-bedroom with her mom, Shonda, and her little brother, Trey. Her mom worked doubles at a local nursing home. Always came home tired, but never. Without a smile for Zaria and Trey, dinner wasn't fancy, but it was hot. Even if it was just rice and beans, Zaria's room was her world, Walls lined with sticky notes of quotes she loved, photos of Maya Angelou, Serena Williams, and Angela Davis taped to her mirror. A worn copy of Their Eyes Were Watching God sat next to her bed. Open, spine cracked, corners dog-eared. Books were her armor, her escape, her rebellion. School, though, wasn't her sanctuary. It was her battlefield. Riverbend High had nearly 1,200 students. 15 of them were black. She counted, because it mattered. In class, when she raised her hand, teachers looked past her, or said, "Let's give someone else a chance." When she walked into the lunchroom, conversations dipped, not out of respect, out of discomfort, as if her presence required adjustment. Even her name was a struggle. Zaria. "It's Zaria," she corrected them gently at first, then firmly, then. Not at all. The worst part wasn't the jokes, it was the silence. The way people saw but didn't speak, heard but didn't listen. Last semester in Ms. Nguyen's civics class, it reached a peak. They were discussing the Voting Rights Act. Zaria raised her hand, wanted to point out something missing in the textbook. Derek, who sat 2 rows back, said loud enough for half the room to hear, "Here she go again, trying to be Harriet Tubman." Laughter. Miss Nguyen cleared her throat but didn't say anything. Zaria didn't flinch, didn't even look at him. She just said, "History isn't a joke." Silence again. Then whispers. Then stares. From that day, things shifted. Not just Derek. Jamal started calling her professor in the hallway. Louise once threw a crumpled paper at her head during lunch. She told Ms. Carter. Carter sighed. "Boys will be boys," she told Principal McDaniels. He said they'd look into it. Nothing changed. At home, she kept most of it to herself. She didn't want to worry her mom, didn't want to add weight to Shonda's already full plate. But every now and then, Trey would catch her staring off. "You good, Z?" And she'd smile. "Yeah, just thinking." But she was tired of shrinking, tired of waiting for someone else to speak up. She began carrying her phone more often, started hitting record when things felt off. It wasn't paranoia, it was protection. Because when the system fails you, proof becomes your only shield. And Zaria had learned to carry hers close. It started with a chair, not thrown, not broken, just pulled away. Zaria walked into third period biology and found her assigned seat missing. Everyone else was already in place, books open, eyes forward. She paused, looked around, laughed it off, moved to an empty spot at the back. But she knew it wasn't random. The next day, her locker was jammed. Sticky syrup spilled across the lock, a folded piece of paper stuck beneath it. Black marker, block capitals. "Sit down, smart girl." She didn't cry, she didn't complain. She just wiped the syrup off with a sleeve and opened her locker with the backup key she kept in her sock, because she'd learned preparation was survival. But that Friday, it changed. Jamal blocked her path near the stairs, didn't touch her, didn't need to. He just stood there smiling, lazy, cold. "You got somewhere to be, Z?" She didn't answer, didn't break eye contact, just stepped sideways and brushed past him. Her shoulder hit his, harder than she intended, but she didn't turn around. That weekend, she stayed in her room, didn't go to the movies with her cousin, didn't go to the library, just sat with her back against the bed and her notebook in her lap. Pages filled with what-ifs. What if I record them? What if no one believes me? What if I just say nothing? What if that's worse? On Monday, Ms. Carter asked her to read a passage aloud. Zaria's voice was steady, every word precise. But she could feel Derek's stare, like a laser, boring through her skull. After class, someone had scribbled across her locker again. "Teacher's pet," trying to be white. She stood there, long enough for other students to notice, to look away, to walk faster. One girl paused, a freshman, soft voice. "Do you want me to get someone?" Zaria shook her head. "No. They'll be gone by the time anyone comes." She started, recording everything, not just the boys, the glances, the laughter, the graffiti. She kept the clips on a hidden drive, labeled them by date, sometimes time-stamped them, proof just in case. But the real moment, the one that snapped the thread, happened in gym partner drills, volleyball. Coach split them into pairs, everyone scattered. She looked for Tasha, her usual, but Tasha was absent. Coach called out, "Zaria, go with Luis." She nodded, walked to the net. Luis didn't say a word, just tossed the ball. Too hard, too fast. The third one slammed into her wrist. She winced, didn't make a sound. Coach blew the whistle. "Luis, chill." Luis smirked. Didn't mean it. After class in the locker room, Zaria heard it, whispers, laughs. Maybe she likes the attention. She always acting like she better than us. Don't nobody care about her speeches. Zaria didn't respond, didn't cry. She just tied her shoes, zipped her bag, and walked out. But something inside her cracked. Not fear, resolve. The kind that builds slow, that starts as silence, and hardens into something unmovable. That night, she replayed every clip, made a folder, named it, in case they say it didn't happen. She stared at the screen for a long time, then shut the laptop, lay back, and whispered to the ceiling. Next time they'll see. It was Wednesday, lunch period, same noise, same corner seat, same tray of untouched fries. But Zaria felt different, calmer, more focused. Like her mind had already made a decision her heart was still catching up to. She watched the clock tick past. 12:23, she stood, dropped her tray in the bin, and walked out of the cafeteria like she always did, like nothing was different. But everything was. She kept her pace steady. Turned down the East Wing hall, past the old music room, past the dusty trophy. 37 tiles, each one counted, each one an echo of her own heartbeat. When she turned the corner, she wasn't surprised. Derek was leaning back against the wall, Jamal scrolling through his phone. Luis staring straight at her, waiting. She didn't stop, didn't flinch, just walked past them. Pushed the door to the girls' bathroom, let it shut, behind her. Locked, just like she'd planned. She moved to the last stall, slid her backpack onto the hook, reached into the side pocket, pulled out her phone. Camera on, silent, front-facing. She placed it low on the toilet paper dispenser, angled, clear, view of the stall door, and waited. Seconds, then footsteps, voices low, deliberate. "Yo, Zaria, you good?" Jamal's voice, mocking. She said nothing. "Come on," Derek added. "Don't act shy now." Luis let out a short laugh. "You ain't so tough when there's no audience, huh?" The stall door shook. Just slightly. A toe tap. A warning. Zaria stayed still, perfectly still, like a coiled wire. Not afraid. Ready. "You always got something to say in class," Derek said. "But now you quiet?" Zaria took a breath. Not deep, just enough, then she spoke. Steady. "I'm not quiet, I'm recording." Silence. Then laughter. Uneasy. "You serious?" Luis asked. "You think anyone cares?" Zaria stood up, unlocked the stall, stepped out, phone still, angled in her hand. Camera pointed just right. "Smile," she said softly. "You're all doing great." The boys hesitated. Jamal took a step back. Derek's smile cracked. Luis shifted his weight. "You need to stop," Derek said, stepping forward. "You don't want to do this." Zaria didn't move, didn't blink. "This already happened," she said. "I'm just making sure no one forgets." The door swung open again. A small figure stepped inside. It was Amaya Green, freshman, rarely spoke, known more for her sketchbook than her voice. She looked around, saw the boys, saw Zaria, saw the phone. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice quiet, but clear. The boys turned. Jamal muttered something under his breath. Derek cursed. Luis grabbed his bag. "We were just leaving," Luis said. No one believed it, but they left anyway, one by one. Amaya didn't move. Zaria nodded at her, didn't say a word, just walked past. Phone still recording, feet steady, breath slow, and for the first time in weeks, Zaria felt the room tilt back toward balance. Not perfect, not fixed, but hers. Just enough to hold on to. Just enough to fight with. Because that moment, that video, it wasn't the end, it was the beginning. Zaria didn't post the video. Not at first. She didn't tag the school, didn't go to the principal's office, didn't even text her mom. She sent it to her cousin, Maya, 17, junior at Northview High across town. Maya was the type who never let things slide, who ran the school's social justice blog, who once led a walkout when a teacher called a student exotic. Zaria's message was simple. Do what you think is right. Maya replied with 3 words. Say less. Posting. By 5th period, the video was on Central ATL Voices, a student-run account for sharing real stories. The caption was short. This is what bullying looks like when it has no bruises. By 6th period, it had over 8,000 views. By dinner time, 22,000 comments rolled in. She's brave. This is heartbreaking. Where is the school? Zaria sat on the couch with Trey. He was watching cartoons. She was watching her name trend. Her mom came home late. Bag on one shoulder. Tired eyes. Zaria showed her the video. Watched her face shift. Shock, then anger, then pride. Are you okay? Zaria nodded. Yeah, her mom hugged her tight. You shouldn't have to be brave like that. The next morning, everything was different. When she walked through the school doors, the air felt electric. Eyes followed her like always. But not the same way. There was no laughter, no whispers, just watching. Like they'd all finally seen what she'd been living. Ms. Carter looked up when she entered class, nodded, didn't say anything, didn't need to. During 2nd period, the intercom crackled. Zaria Thompson to the front office, please. She packed up slow, walked steady. No fear. Principal McDaniels was waiting. So was Ms. Lively, the assistant principal. And a 3rd chair, occupied. Luis's mom. Zaria sat, folded her hands in her lap, waited. McDaniels cleared his throat. Zaria, we've seen the video. We're concerned. Zaria raised an eyebrow. About me recording it or about what's in it? Lively leaned forward. Both. Zaria didn't blink. Good. That means you're finally looking. Luis's mom shifted. They said it was a joke. Boys being boys. Zaria turned to her. Would you be okay if 3 boys cornered your daughter? The room fell quiet. Lively tried again. We want to create a safe space. You had years to do that, Zaria cut in. I brought the truth. You just didn't like the format. They said they were investigating, that there would be consequences, that they appreciated her bravery. She didn't. Smile. Didn't thank them. Just stood up. Talk less, fix more. She walked out, and for the first time, no one stopped her. Outside the office, 2 girls stood waiting. She didn't know them, but they both nodded as she passed. The ripple had started, and it wasn't slowing down. The following day, the hallways of Riverbend High felt like a different planet. Not quieter, not louder, just aware. Eyes didn't slide past Zaria anymore. They landed and stayed. Some students nodded, others whispered, but the silence that used to greet her had turned into a kind of recognition. In 2nd period, Tasha slid into the seat beside her, the one she hadn't used in weeks. Hey, she said. That was it. But it felt like a door cracking open. By lunch, the video had passed 75,000 views, shared on 2 national teen advocacy pages. Even a local news station reposted it. Anonymous high schooler records harassment. Sparks citywide debate. Students from other schools commented, sent DMs. Some shared their own stories. Others just said, thank you. By the end of the day, 3 more girls from Riverbend spoke up, not just about Derek, Jamal, or Luis, but about their own moments. Teachers ignoring them. Peers mocking their accents. One girl wrote, I've never seen someone hold their ground like that. The administration scrambled. An email blast went out to parents. A listening session was scheduled. A district official appeared on campus, unannounced. Ms. Lively pulled Zaria aside during gym. We're forming a student equity board, she said. Would you like to be part of it? Zaria paused. then shook her head. I already did my part. By Friday, the school held its first open forum, students and staff, parents, even some alumni. Zaria sat in the back. Didn't plan to speak, but when the mic made its way to her row, everyone turned. She didn't need a speech, didn't even stand. "Bully, I didn't post that video to go viral," she said. "I did it because I was tired. Tired of pretending I didn't hear it. Tired of waiting for someone else to say something. Tired of the silence being louder than the truth." Heads nodded, some eyes glistened. Even Ms. Carter looked misty. Zaria handed the mic off, went back to listening. But the room wasn't the same anymore. It pulsed with something else. Possibility. The following week, changes began. Real ones. Hall monitors. Received new training. Teachers attended a mandatory workshop on bias and response. A new anonymous reporting system was launched, one that actually followed up. Zaria didn't join the equity board. Didn't need to. Her voice was already there, in the system, in the shift, in every student who decided that maybe they didn't have to stay silent anymore, because when one voice stands firm, others remember they have one too, and when those voices rise together, even the walls start to listen. Change came quietly, not with banners, not with fanfare, but with choices, small ones, daily ones. In the weeks that followed, Riverbend High began to shift. Not overnight, not perfectly, but undeniably. The posters changed. No more bland phrases about respect in Comic Sans. Now, real quotes from real students lined the walls. Zaria saw one of hers above the main stairwell, tired of silence being louder than the truth. She blinked when she saw it, paused, then smiled, just a little. Teachers who used to glance past her now made eye contact, said her name right, said it like it mattered. Mr. Green, the history teacher, invited her to lead a discussion on civil rights. She said yes, and students actually listened. Not just nodded, listened. At lunch, a new group invited her to sit with them. She didn't say yes immediately. But the next day, she did. And it was good, not because she needed the company, but because she deserved the choice. Luis returned from suspension after 2 weeks. He didn't say much, but one afternoon she found a note in her locker, folded. Simple. Didn't think about how it felt until I saw it. She didn't reply. Didn't need to. Derek and Jamal stayed distant. Fine by her, some bridges don't need rebuilding. The school district launched a regional task force. Parent reps, student leaders. Zaria declined again. Not from disinterest, but because she was focused on her own goals. Law school, scholarships, change beyond these walls. She still walked the same halls, still wore the same hoodie with the little tear in the sleeve, still counted tiles when her thoughts got too loud. But now, space felt wider, lighter, more hers. One Thursday afternoon, as she waited outside for her mom, Amaya walked up, the freshman who stepped into that bathroom without knowing how much she'd interrupt. She stood beside Zaria in silence, then asked, softly, "Do you ever get scared?" Zaria thought about it, then nodded. "Yeah, but scared doesn't mean silent." Amaya smiled. "Glad I was there." Zaria smiled back. "Me too." That weekend, a segment aired on the local news. It was about school safety, bias, student voices. Zaria's video flashed briefly on screen. Her quote filled the lower third. Her mom sat beside her on the couch, watched, listened, then reached over, held her hand. "You shook something loose," she said. "Some people go their whole life and never do that." Zaria didn't answer. She didn't need to. She just held her mom's hand a little tighter and looked ahead, because the world hadn't changed overnight, but it had noticed. And sometimes that's where everything starts. She didn't ask to be a hero. She didn't want the spotlight. All she wanted was peace, a bathroom stall, a hallway no one used. But Zaria Thompson gave the world something bigger, proof that silence doesn't protect you, and that courage doesn't always shout. Sometimes it records, sometimes it waits, and sometimes it changes everything. If this story made you feel something, anger, hope, a sense that we can do better, Don't let it stop at the screen. Share it. Talk about it. Be the person who walks in when others look away. Because somewhere out there, another. Zaria is pressing record, and she's counting on someone to listen.